Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I'm doing another video on ranking the best pictures of a decade. This decade I'm doing the 2000s, so taking the 10 best picture winners and ranking them 10 to 1. I did one on the 2010s this last week, and so I'm moving down to the next decade. Um, yeah, and this is another one where half of the movies are really good, other half not so good. That's pretty common. It seems like most Best Picture winners aren't that good, it seems like. It does have some of my favorite movies, though. So the top end of this Best Pictures are, some of the best movies I've ever seen. And I'd say early 2000s was a really good year. Good couple years. I would say from 2000 to 2003, those movies are just absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so starting off my list on the 2000s, number 10, I think the worst Best Picture winner is The Hurt Locker, which won in 2009. I think, if I remember right, at the time, it might still be, it's the least box office grossing movie to win Best Picture, I believe. Like, it didn't make hardly any money at the box office. Hardly anybody watched this movie, but very critically acclaimed, of course. Which was kind of mind-boggling to me, because to me it was just a boring movie about Jeremy Renner's playing this bomb in the Afghanistan war. He's a bomb expert, whatever, that has to, of course, there's a lot of bombs, suicide bombers and so forth in Afghanistan. It was just kind of following him. He's a little bit reckless, a little bit, goes against the grain of most of the army officers, and even fights with his superior Anthony Mackie in the movie. And he's defusing bombs, anyways. Yeah, and it just didn't seem like it had really that interesting of a plot, and it didn't seem to really go anywhere, and the ending's really nothing. I don't know. I just didn't. Nothing about this movie interested me at all. Watching it, Jeremy Renner's fine. I love the fact that he made this movie, got nominated for Best Actor. Didn't really know Jeremy Renner at that point, but since he's been given a lot of great performances. Obviously, he's best known for Hawkeye and the Marvel movies. I think he's an excellent actor, so I'm glad this movie kind of made him a bigger, franchise actor that we've seen do good work in other movies. Anyways, it was directed by Kathleen Bigelow, who was the first woman to win Best Director at the Oscars. But yeah, it's just a nothing movie to me. Very forgettable, in my opinion. So that's why it's number 10. Number 9 is $1 Million Baby, won Best Picture in 2004. It's Clint Eastwood starring, directing movie with Hilary Swank and Morgan Freeman. Hilary Swank plays a wannabe boxer, kind of an amateur boxer who is really good and needs some coaching, and she gets some coaching from Clint Eastwood's character, who owns a boxing gym, and is a boxing trainer, a really good boxing trainer, but doesn't train girls. But she kind of is persistent in getting him as a trainer. And anyways, Morgan Freeman also works at the gym, and he was a former boxer, trained under Clint Eastwood. I think he's works kind of more the housekeeper, or whatever you want to call it, of the maintenance guy of the gym now. Doesn't box anymore. Anyways, Hilary Swank gave a really, really great performance. I'll say that. She won the Oscar, and she deserved it. Really good performance. Morgan Freeman won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Very happy for him. One really great actor that really deserved an Oscar. I don't know if this was his best performance, but it's good to see Morgan Freeman get an Oscar, and it's definitely still a really good performance. There's a good scene with him towards the end of the movie that I really like. Clint Eastwood got nominated also. I think one of his best, probably his last really great performance as an actor, I think. Maybe Gran Torino you can make a case for. It's maybe one of his last great performances. Anyways, but the movie was doing pretty good. Like I said, the performances are pretty good. Storyline's just okay. It's a girl wanting to be a boxer, and Clint Eastwood plays the usual grumpy old guy. It's hard to like, which he plays in a lot of his movies when he got older. Dialogue's fine, all that. But what I don't like about this movie, when I left this movie, I was so angry because I hated the ending of this movie. There's a twist kind of that happens at the end of the movie. It really ruins the whole movie. The movie seems to be going in one direction, and then this one incident happens that just totally like surprises you, and it takes you different direction. And then I won't spoil it, but just say the ending was very depressing. I remember coming out of there going, "That's the ending? It can't end that way." Like that's the worst ending to a movie I've ever seen. Anyways, it makes me. I remember coming out of the movie theater because I heard this movie was so good. Saw it in the movie theater. Came out going, "Wow, that was terrible." Like I was so angry with what they did to the characters at the end of that movie. I don't know. So for me, Million Dollar Baby, number 9 on my list. Number 8 on my list is going to be a little bit of a surprise. Probably higher on most people's list, but it's The Departed. Won Best Picture in 2006. Directed by Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese got his first Oscar win, which is a surprise to a lot of people because he's was known. I mean, since the 70s, he's been one of the most critically acclaimed directors. Very well liked director. Does a lot of gritty, I say mafia style movies and all that. And the part is another kind of mafia movie dealing with the kind of Irish mob with Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon playing 2 police officers. One's working undercover for the mob. One's working undercover for police officers, and kind of seeing the 2 sides of being undercover. Jack Nicholson giving his last great performance as the mafia, like an Irish mafia Don, evil, terrible person. He didn't get an Oscar nomination. A lot of people thought he would get an Oscar nomination, but he didn't. And he made like maybe one movie, and then Nicholson basically retired from movie making after this. So it's definitely the last performance you want to see out of Nicholson. Mark Wahlberg also gives like a good performance in a small part and gets nominated. But anyways, it's definitely a cat and mouse type of movie, trying to figure out who the rat is in the organization, who's spying on the organization, and the mole who's giving up information. Anyways, and it just I don't know, I'm not into these kind of movies, to be honest. I've never been into. The Godfather I think is a good movie, but like I'm not into the Goodfellas or Casino. I don't care for those movies and those styles. I don't know, just never been my style of movie. The cast is really good. I mean, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon. Yeah, you get those 2 guys in the movie. I mean, you think, yeah, definitely that's a blockbuster. Especially now, I said Nicholson and older. Now he's getting older, but he's still giving great performances here. Also, Vera Farmiga is in it. Alec Baldwin, Martin Sheen. I mean, yeah, overall great cast. I've never been a Scorsese fan either, though. Like, I'm not a big fan of really a lot of his movies. I don't know. His movies are just a little too gritty, a little too gruesome for me. A lot of bad things happen in his movies that I've just never been a big fan of. And just the ending was very dissatisfying to me. Like, I think it would have been okay, but then when you get to the ending and what happens there, and it's like, oh, okay, what was the point of all of it? I guess I didn't see what the point is when that's the ending of the movie. Anyway, so the ending, it's another one. A lot of these movies, the ending kills it for me, and this is another one where I'm going to talk about another one here coming up. Another one where it's pretty good, then the ending kills it, and that's just too sad that has to happen. But yeah, I know a lot of people love The Departed. I think it's higher on the list, but for me, it was just a nothing movie. So that's number 8, The Departed. Number 7 is going to be a very controversial pick. Everybody's going to probably hate me for this because it's probably number 1 on everybody's list except for mine, and that's No Country for Old Men, which won Best Picture in 2007. No Country for Old Men, I really wanted to like this movie. The Coen brothers directing it. It's this very interesting guy in the wrong place. Josh Brolin's character takes some money from a drug deal gone bad, and then he's now stalked by the serial killer type guy played by Harvey Bardem, who won the Best Supporting Actor. Gives this really great psycho character, one of the best psychopath characters you've ever seen. What's his name? Sugar, I remember his last name is. yeah, of course, yeah, you have to give it to Harvey Bardem. Of course, gave a great performance there, and it's him kind of stalking Josh Brolin's character to get the money, and anyways, and killing a lot of people in his path. And as a kind of a thriller, it's magnificent. I mean, performance, cinematography, the direction is absolutely excellent. Like one of the best I've seen, where you're kind of on the edge of your seat in a lot of scenes. I thought it was done very, very well. Tommy Lee Jones is this kind of old school police officer. I think they're in Texas, and he's also on this case, trying to find who's doing all this stuff. Anyways, yeah. So No Country for Old Men, absolutely amazing until the very end. And the ending totally ruins the movie for me. It totally kills what I thought was great about this movie, and just makes this from probably being a movie that'd be at the top of my list to being at the bottom. And not saying what happens, but it's just kind of like, oh, I guess I'll say a little bit spoiler, is like it kind of ends with the bad guy getting away and the good guy losing, and it's like not a happy ending at all. It's like a very unhappy ending, and you go at the end, you're like, what? Why did I watch this? Just to watch. I was watching it to watch the good guy win over the bad guy, but instead I watched the opposite, and it's like, why do I want to watch a movie where the bad guy wins at the end? I have real life to see that. I don't want to see that in the movie. I want to see the other way around. Anyway, so that just totally killed it. And then it's weird. Tommy Lee Jones' character goes to his dad, I think, and or maybe it's his wife at the end, and he's telling him a dream, and then the movie ends. And it's like, what was that? What's the point in that? The dream and everything. Tommy Lee Jones gave a great performance. I thought he should have been probably won an Oscar for that performance. One of his best all time. So yeah, it's a movie that should be good, but because of the ending, I just can't like this movie. It just, to me, you have to have a good ending, a satisfying ending that, where the good guy triumphs over the bad guy, and just all your storylines are ending just the right way. And yeah, it just didn't happen for me in this movie. So that's number 7 on my list. Number 6 is a movie called Crash. Came out, won Best Picture in 2005. Crash is kind of known as probably the movie that the worst Best Picture winner. Like I said last time, Green Book is known as the worst Best Picture, one of the worst Best Picture winners. Crash is another case where people were really shocked when it won Best Picture. It was one of the biggest upsets I've seen in Oscar history, where Brokeback Mountain was winning all the awards coming up to the Oscars, and then couldn't win the Best Picture. Crash came out, which made it an interesting Oscar finish, and all that. Crash, I think, is actually a decent movie. I actually kind of like that movie, and I don't think I think it's an underrated movie. In fact, everybody thinks it's overrated or that it's, really terrible movie, but I think it's actually quite good. It's an interesting look at race relations, and it looks at all these different characters and different races and different people kind of being racist towards each other. But it's kind of a look at the flaw of humans, and that the gray area, as you say, of humans, and looks at I like that look at human life, that not always bad, not always good. Sometimes we make bad decisions, sometimes we make good decisions. There are characters in here that you absolutely hate, but then they do something heroic, and it makes you question, like, oh, is this a good person or not? They shouldn't be, but yet they did something so great that makes me kind of question. And then there's characters that you absolutely like, and they think this is a great character, and then he does something terrible at the end, and you go, oh, maybe he's not a good person. So I kind of actually love that contrast that the director did here, and really looking at kind of the human experience in a way I hadn't seen before. I think the two outstanding performances to me was Matt Dillon and Sandra Bullock. Matt Dillon, of course, plays a super racist cop, horrible human being. And then he has one of the greatest scenes of the movie, and great scenes I've ever seen in a movie, where he then saves the life of a black woman who's, goes way and beyond, sacrificing, almost dies himself. But, because he's a police officer, he goes and pulls out this woman from this, burning car that's about to explode or whatever, if I remember right, and she's stuck, I think, and he does everything he can to save this woman, and he does it. and it's just a great scene. You think, wow, this horrible racist cop did a great thing, and so it makes you like, how much should I hate this guy? I still think I hate the guy, but yet I have to give him credit for saving a life. I don't know. So it's a very interesting scene. Matt Dillon, of course, got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for the role. Does a really good job. The other one, Sandra Bullock, I think, really doesn't get talked enough about in this movie. This was like the first movie. Sandra Bullock to me was just a romantic comedy star. Nothing acting-wise. I never thought of her as like a great actress or anything. And this was the first movie I saw where I was like, wow, Sandra Bullock can really act, and she really changed my mind. She would go on, of course, to win an Oscar for The Blind Side, and has proven herself a pretty good, one of the top actresses out there. But her character, being this really snobbish, rich wife who treats her Latino maid terribly, and then she falls down the stairs and breaks her ankle or something, and her maid comes and helps her, and and nobody else. She calls her friends, and none of her friends would come help her, but her maid, who she treats terribly, comes and helps her. And then that scene where she shows so much gratitude towards her maid, and it's like, wow, you did something none of my friends would do, basically being like very sorry for the way she treated her. And that performance was so good. I thought I should have won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. I thought Sandra Bullock just totally nailed it, knocked it out of the park. One of my favorite scenes of that movie, and it makes me still think of the movie. As I said, there's two scenes in that movie that I think of so much that it makes me put this up higher than a lot of the other movies because of that. Anyway, so yeah, that's Crash at number 6 on my list. Number 5 on my list is Slumdog Millionaire, won Best Picture in 2008, directed by Danny Boyle. About takes place in Mumbai, India. Kind of a boy whose mom gets killed, him and his brother are orphans, and you see, like, of course, really poor, upbringing in India, and being like kind of forced into this I don't know, this scam artist who uses children to get money and gets abused. You see a lot of the children getting abused, and just how terrible it is growing up in India at this time. The main actor, Dave Patel, great performance. You see him as kids and then as adults, and it's what I love about this movie is the love story between. I mean, it's one of the best love stories I've seen, where he finds this girl, another orphan girl, and kind of falls in love with her as a kid, and then they part ways, and he kind of searches for her. Like, his whole goal is searching for her and finally finding her, and then trying to rescue her because she's in this, kind of deals with them. I always say mafia because I don't know what to say. I just know mafia means like gangs, and so I think this kind of almost Indian mafia group, and she's like kind of stuck in this group, can't get out, and so he wants to save her, and he goes on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show. And I love the storytelling of him not being necessarily that smart, but each question he remembers something in his past that helps him answer the question. I thought such a great storytelling, and using flashbacks to tell his backstory through the game show. Such a brilliant way of telling that story, and unique, and I love that aspect of it. And then just, seeing that love story and him kind of rescue her from this terrible situation. Just makes you feel good. It's one of the movies that it's so many terrible things happen in the movie, but then the ending makes you feel so good. I mean, you're just like jumping up with joy at the end. Anyways, that's why I have Slumdog Millionaire number 5 on the list. The last 4, I mean, are just superb movies. Some of my favorite movies. Even Slumdog Millionaire I put in there. Like, these top 5 are really, really good movies. And like these 4 came out. My top 4 here came out 2000 to 2003. So it's the very first 4 movies of the decade are in my top 4. I mean, they're so good. I don't know why they kind of went downhill after that, but number 4 is Chicago. Won Best Picture in 2002. It's a musical, of course, a Broadway musical turned movie about a person who Renee Zellweger's character murders her husband or boyfriend or a guy that she's sleeping with, I guess I should say, and goes to jail, and then tries to figure a way to try to get out, even though she's guilty of murder. Try to, in the politics of trying to get out in the trial and the drama of a trial, and trying to use the sympathy of the jury to get out of the situation, and using a crooked lawyer played by Richard Gere, who lies and kind of dances around the truth in order to get her free, even though she shouldn't be. Yeah, very interesting musical. I love the storytelling aspect of all the music is done in her mind because she loves musicals. She wants to be a musical Broadway star, or whatever you want to call it. That she thinks of her life as a musical, basically. And so every musical segment is basically just in her imagination, not really happening in real life, but she imagines every scene in her life as this musical number. And it's just a really unique, brilliant way of telling that story of her and get really understanding her character and understanding all the characters by, I love Richard Gere as the lawyer. He does this tap dance number because he's, tap dancing around the truth as a lawyer would do. Of course, there's a lot of crooked lawyers out there, and so I love the fact that he's kind of making fun of how crooked lawyers are by doing a tap dance number. Even his song, "Give Him the Old Razzle Dazzle," is his big song. It's like the court is just a circus, and we know in real life there's so many murderers that have gotten away because they had the right lawyer who can talk good, and that's this case. If you can do any kind of crime. If you have a good lawyer, you can get away with it, and I love that. It's kind of making fun of that trope in a way. And these numbers are done very well. It's not necessarily the best music, but definitely love the dance numbers, and the musics are very catchy. And Catherine Zeta-Jones won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Her and Renee Zellweger very good together in this movie. Anyway, so I can't say enough. I like musicals. This is a really good musical. Number 4 is Chicago. Number 3 is a movie called Gladiator. Gladiator, as Elizabeth Taylor said when she was announcing Golden Globe. Won Best Picture. I hope you get that reference if you were around at that time. Gladiator won Best Picture in 2000, the very first movie of the decade, starring Russell Crowe as this Roman general who then Joaquin Phoenix is the Caesar's son, whatever, and he murders he murders his father, becomes the Caesar or whatever, and then tries to kill Russell Crowe, kills his family. Then Russell Crowe's on this revenge tour, gets captured and gets forced into being a gladiator. Of course, he's this really good warrior because he's this Roman general, so he's just killing everybody in these gladiator pits. And yeah, it's just a really good story of kind of revenge, him trying to get back up to, and his whole goal of, wanting to kill Joaquin Phoenix's character, but also wanting to overthrow his rule as a Caesar or whatever, the head of the government in Rome. Anyway, so yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I remember I didn't watch it in theater. I remember watching it after it came out like in DVD or something like that, and watching it at a friend's house and just being totally blown away by this movie. Love the cinematography. Russell Crowe gave a great performance, won Best Actor, and of course love the period piece of it. Love the costuming. It's spectacular. Overall, like I said, Russell Crowe, great performance. Joaquin Phoenix. First time I saw Joaquin Phoenix in a movie, and I remember being like, wow, who is this guy? He's amazing. And we've seen now that he's one of the best actors of his generation, Joaquin Phoenix. And I think you see it from this movie. It's like, wow, this guy's on another level compared to most people that I've seen. Yeah, those definitely are the two best performances of that movie. Yeah, I just love the whole period piece of the set designs. They're fighting the Roman Colosseum. The action's done very well. It's very bloody, very violent movie, but very well done. The action choreography, I think. I just love the whole rooting for this guy to get back and get revenge. I love revenge stories. I love rooting for a guy to get revenge for some reason. It's always fun to see him want to go after the guy who, did something terrible to him, like kill his family and try to kill him and all that. And the gladiator scenes are done very well. The ending is so great. Love the dialogue between Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix, and love how it ends. And that actually is, somehow they turned into a happy ending in a sense that you normally wouldn't be. I thought it was just a really brilliant way of doing it. Yeah, just really fun, a fun action drama movie that I've always really loved. So that's number 3, Gladiator. Number two, another Russell Crowe movie. Russell Crowe back-to-back great movies. Beautiful Mind won Best Picture in 2001, directed by Ron Howard, who I think is a really great director, underrated director in a way. And this is definitely like his best movie. One of his best movies. I say Apollo 13. I probably put above this, but this is definitely the cream of his movie career, directing career. Winning Best Picture and Director. Russell Crowe starring as Nash, this genius mathematician who ends up having multiple. What I don't want to say. He hallucinates and sees people that aren't there. Schizophrenia, I think they call it, and it's based off a true story of a true person who went through this, and kind of him, dealing with the fact that there's these people that he's talking to that aren't real, and then he finds out that they aren't real, and of course I love the way that they shoot the movie, that you think these people are real, and then you find out later, oh, these are all in his imagination, but you didn't know that, the way it was shot. And just him dealing with that and trying to, he gets married and has a kid, and just like, how does he, that never leaves him, the schizophrenia part, but yet somehow he's able to live somewhat a normal life, even when there's these imaginary people appearing in his life, and how, he has to kind of juggle that, in his life and not go crazy, which he kind of goes crazy a little bit towards the movie, but he's a genius, so he thinks, I can think my way out of this, but you go, well, you can't, because your brain is the problem. You can't think your way out of a problem when your brain is the one that's giving you the problem. So it's a very interesting look at, at the way the brain works, and psychiatric help and all that. And just really, I love Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe was like the best actor from 2000 to 2004 or something like that. Somewhere in that period, he was like the top actor of the Hollywood. And you think, wow, this guy's gonna win like 3-4 Oscars. He only ended up winning one. He should have won for this movie. I think it was almost a great tragedy that he didn't win, because I love his performance in here, playing he goes from Gladiator, which he's this, he's a very muscular guy, Russell Crowe. He goes from this, very macho guy, killing people in Gladiator, period piece, and then he goes into this movie where he's this kind of awkward, stumbling character who's socially awkward and doesn't do well with people, and just a great performance, and him, going kind of crazy because of the images that he's seeing. Yeah, just amazing. Like, one of my favorite performances of all time. Jennifer Connelly playing wife, won Best Supporting Actress. She's very good. Ed Harris, of course, is always great anytime he shows up in a movie. And Paul Bettany, first movie I saw Paul Bettany in, I had no idea who this guy was. I thought he was so good in this movie. I thought he was definitely going to be a star, and he's done pretty good work. I'm glad to see he's doing a lot of really good work with Marvel as as that character. Now I'm forgetting the name of the character, but I'm talking about Vision, his character Vision. So it's good to see him doing good. Anyways, yeah, excellent drama movie. Beautiful Mind, number 2. It comes up to my number 1 movie. No surprise if you ever seen any of my videos. Huge fan of the Lord of the Rings franchise. Favorite trilogy probably of all time. And so Return of the King, favorite movie, favorite Best Picture winner of this decade. It's my favorite. I did a video on favorite 20 movies of the 2000s. This was number 1 on that list, number 1 on this list. It's a top 5 favorite movie all time. Return of the King came out 2003, ended this great fantasy franchise, one of the great fantasy stories we've ever seen. Of course, so many characters. I just touch on, of course, Elijah Wood playing Frodo, does such a great job. Viggo Mortensen, amazing as Aragorn, has gone on to do such great work since. Ian McKellen, Gandalf, such a great character that he's got to do so many times now, and he loves that character, and we love seeing him play that character. Sean Astin gives one of the best performances of his career. Not that he's had a great acting career, but I think he should have been nominated. No nominations for acting in this movie, which is I think there should have been a nomination for Sean Astin as Sam. He gives a really great performance in this movie. And there's others, but those are the ones that stand out to me as the great performance of this movie. Peter Jackson, the director, I mean, just a masterpiece. Just incredible work that he's done in this franchise. Return of the King, I mean, of course, it has so many great moments. I mean, I can't say how many great moments there are in this movie. Great action, some of the best fight scenes, especially like armies, the kind of battle scenes where armies are going against each other. I mean, that scene where I forget what they're called, but they have these huge giant elephants, and they come in after they've been going through this battle for Minas Tirith, I believe, and then all of a sudden you hear these drum beats, and they turn around, and now there's this army with huge elephants that they have to fight, and that fight scene, oh man, seeing those, I love scenes where two armies are just rushing towards each other, and all of a sudden you have this huge grand scale fight. I mean, it was so mind boggling at the time, still is, works really well. But yeah, it's just a great fantasy story, good versus evil, and it has just the best of everything. I think I said this before, but I can't say enough. I mean, it's a movie that has the best costuming, best makeup, best musical score, best adapted screenplay, best cinematography, best sound effects. I'm trying to think, every single thing, best set designs, best special effects, everything all across the board. It just killed and just did better than anybody else. And no fantasy movies don't win Best Picture, so that's pretty incredible that he was able to make a fantasy movie to win Best Picture. I mean, Star Wars couldn't win Best Picture, and that was super popular in 1977. Couldn't win because it was a sci-fi movie. The Academy doesn't like fantasy sci-fi, and we haven't seen a fantasy sci-fi movie win since Return of the King. So that just tells you this. It's a movie that everybody can love. Fantasy fanboys and even Academy people that usually don't like these kind of movies still gave this 11 Oscars, Best Picture, anyways. So yeah, so I can't say enough about how great this movie is. Return of the King, #1 Best Picture of 2000s. Very deserving. Anyway, so I'm starting to lose my voice now from talking for 30 minutes. So thank you for watching this video. I know I might get some hate for No Country for Old Men. I'm sorry, just my opinion. But yeah, comment what do you think was the best movie this decade. What do you think about my list? Whatever. I love to read them. And just thank you for watching this video. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I just thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a good day.